do the intro.
Oh, I can't even see it. So welcome everyone to round 5 of the September-October Tuesday night marathon. My name is Abel Talamantes, chess director at the Mechanics Institute, and joining us tonight to cover the games is 3-time U.S. champion Grandmaster Nick DeFermian and FIDE Master Paul Whitehead, who is about to sit in this chair and bring you the games, the live action that is happening right now. Intriguing matchups this week. It seems like every week. I just saw a player play knight to h3, and that was Ezra Chambers just played knight to h3. And
On the first move?
not on the first move, but I'm going to have Paul Whitehead and Nick go over what is up with a move like that goes opposite of what I was telling kids today in an after-school class. So there are some exceptions to the rule, and I'm going to have them talk about what those might be. Knight h3. Here we go. Take it away.
Hey Nick, I can't see you, but
Oh, you can't?
no, I don't have the Twitch thing in front of me, but that's okay. How you doing?
Oh, maybe I can do it here. Actually, since we're not showing the games.
How are you doing, Nick?
Fine. No, it's good. We missed you Monday.
Oh
but,
yeah,
Mr.
so I
Wang.
missed the chess cafe on Monday. My internet went out, and this looks like a wing gambit, huh?
Sorry. Oh, yes.
Let's
A pawn is missing. I thought it was a French defense, but then counting pawns. That's
very advanced, Nick. Counting the pawns.
it is. That's
So this is board 1. We're in round 5 of the Tuesday night marathon. Ezra Chambers has a perfect 4-0. He's a point ahead of the field. And he's a FIDE master, goes to Webster, where he's studying with grandmasters such as yourself. And this is live from downtown San Francisco, Tuesday night marathon. So shall we take a look at this game, Nick?
yeah. Let's see. It's a good start. Ezra has he's been on fire. He's really gotten so strong. And so sacrificing a pawn, he feels sort of wing gambit delayed, it turns out, I guess.
And what players specialized in this opening? I mean, did Keres play this opening when he was a young man, the wing gambit? Trying to think of grandmasters who played this.
Not too many people played the wing gambit. The wing gambit is not regarded that highly because of
the extra
the
pawn.
way that black quickly gets in d5 and takes with the queen. So Ezra plays it a bit differently, which is nice. You just sacrifice the pawn, but then you get the center, and so
and I mean, it's also got that reverse Benko gambit feel to it, right?
Yes. You've just given up the A and B pawn, so not the most valuable pawn. And if I were Nathan, I wouldn't have gone D4 to play a French, D5.
Is that right? Okay, so a different way to play this might be start bringing your pieces out instead and play with D6 maybe. Huh?
Yeah, just D6 so the knight can get to F6. It's
right.
Now you have an advanced French, and you have a pawn, but white's got more control of the center, solid pawn chain, C3, D4, E5.
Yeah, this is what white wants in this opening, I think.
So, it's white's going to develop an attack on the king side. Black, what are you going to do on the queen side? It's a little slow there.
And knight h3 is, which Abel was wondering about, is simply another way to bring the knight into the game, to f4, and then maybe to h5.
But okay, it's a pawn. If Nathan can play well, he'll make Ezra prove it.
Right.
Ooh, I don't really like that queen move. I'm not sure what Nathan's strategy is.
Well, that's interesting. You need a strategy. And queen c7, maybe knight a3.
Now, our opening expert, Mike Walder, is saying that
and I can't see the chat.
Okay, that Nepo and Fedorcev have played this opening.
Who used to play it?
Nepomniachtchi and Fedorcev. So they're
Fedosiev?
Yeah, maybe it's Fedosia. That's the.
Oh well, those are pretty good players.
Yes, no, it's very logical from the white side. Certainly, there's compensation for a pawn. I think
but black is maybe not played the best way.
Well, this queen c7, I'm wondering, I could have seen knight a5, rook c8, go for those queenside squares. I'm wondering what the black queen is doing on c7. It's a logical move in a French defense, but I'm not sure it's a logical move here.
Well, I say let's go back to this game and look at this game, Nick. I think I know the opening here too. This is an old variation of the Grunfeld, right? With Akko Hidari versus Nicholas Wang.
The old exchange sacrifice from the exchange variation.
Yeah, so what's the current state of, so here we have a Grunfeld, and they're playing a very old line here.
It is, which was considered to be about equal, and they're both, good tactical players. Akko loves to play sharply, but
so does Nicholas.
Yes, and exchange sacrifice, and Nicholas just grabs it, which you need to do. And
is King H1 indicated here? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so, because there's checks and stuff, and
you always should check because it might be mate, right?
Yeah, which it might have been mate if he didn't go King H1, so he did.
So now they slow down here. Their exciting exchange sack, King H1, A6. Okay.
And they did go a couple moves further, didn't they?
Yeah, knight f4.
Bishop f7, knight f4, and I think the theory is like knight f4, bishop f7, pawn to e5.
And that's where we are.
Okay, and this is still theory, I believe.
Wow.
Supposed to be roughly equal, but very sharp position.
Yeah. How does theory take it from this position?
Yeah, what do you do is a good question. Because pawn to e6 threatens to win a piece.
Right.
Pawn to g5 is so incredibly double-edged. You could go pawn to e6. What else saves a piece for the black side?
Maybe pawn to e6?
Could go pawn to e6, yes.
Does bishop takes g5, does that work?
Okay, yeah, bishop takes d5 seems most logical, and then pawn takes f6. Maybe you can just recapture on f6. Knight takes d5, queen takes d5, queen takes f6 with all these threats of mate. But that's just then queen e5. So yeah,
That
taking
seems
on
to
d5.
squash things, yeah.
Well, it's still, you have two wonderful bishops. You have those dark squares. There's still quite a lot of compensation.
Who played this sacrifice first? This was some game in the 1950s, right, or early 60s?
Oh, I think even further back, it was, clearly you want to get such an initiative. The initiative really looks like a lot. So, the early days of the Grunfeld, the exchange variation, probably the 40s or 50s.
On bishop d5, maybe White could play a little slower, play rook d1 or something like that.
That would be quite a move, yes.
I don't know.
That would set up quite a lot of things. No need to take on f6 right away.
I've been listening a lot to you, Nick, and trying to get some pointers.
Not sure it helps, but okay. It's
Well, a move like rook d1 has that kind of restrained strength to it.
It's funny. It would be fun to play the white side after bishop d5, rook d1. So many possible threats.
All right, shall I move on to the third board?
Yeah, we'll come back to this one. The excitement's in full fire.
Here we have the incredible guy Argo versus the incredible Elliot Winslow. This is something Elliot would know like the back of his hand. Queen c2. I've seen this move before. It's not going to get White much, I think, in the opening.
Guy Argo always has these interesting offbeat lines.
This can be a sort of a Philidor reversed or something. Well, maybe not. Not with a black pawn at c5. Sort of like a Ponziani or something. Look at Elliot. Sharp is always sharp. And black gets the two bishops without having to work for it.
So yes, black is certainly not worse in the endgame.
Well, full equality for black. Might even be a little bit better here.
Yes, but it's an endgame even material. So
symmetrical pawn structure, sort of.
Yeah. So black is not worse. That's really the case.
All right, let's move on to board 4, where Alex Chin, rated 1992, is playing Sean Kelly, and both of these players also have 2.5 points out of 4. Oh, I think I know what opening this might have come from. This looks like a Sicilian.
A Najdorf with the pawn to h5, yes.
Let's go. Oops, sorry, my bad. It's a Sicilian Najdorf with h3. The Weaver Adams or whatever. Bobby Fischer was the one who really popularized that move.
Now Sean plays pawn to h5 here. That's yeah, the modern way and a good way. Just hold those kingside squares,
Right.
and that's probably a good route to equality.
These moves don't seem remarkable to me. They just seem normal.
Yeah, very sensible moves from both sides. You know, a playable position for both sides.
I think white probably needs to start thinking of playing knight d5 here. It's
Well,
funny.
what exactly?
What were you going to say?
Yeah, what is white's strategy? So knight d5 is one of them. You know, you can go slowly or something, but you're going to have to do something in the center at some point. And Alex chooses to do it right away, knight d5. Not sure how this is going to work out.
Well, maybe he wants to do it before black plays knight c5.
Yes, a lot of good reasons to do it, because what else do you do is a question.
We see
You
this.
could throw in.
This used to be kind of rare, white playing knight d5 so early in the Sicilian, and now we see it in all of these different variations.
Well, players ranging over the whole board, the king side, center, queen side. So certainly going to be a lot of action here.
How do you take here? It depends, but usually which way?
Oh, I wouldn't give up my bishop. So knight takes d5 seems sensible. And then can you think a bit? You have time. Maybe that was a good move.
Bishop f6.
Yeah, I don't know if white can play pawn to f5. Probably that.
And then black plays pawn to e4.
Yeah, then probably black gets away with that. Well, black should be okay, is my take on this. Note that h5 pawn is kind of hard to attack. Can be defended by g6.
Yep.
Black's pieces are all out.
Yep. Okay, let's move on to board 5, where Kevin's son is playing Christian Clemens. That's an interesting matchup.
Classic matchup. Kevin is very young. He likes to chat a lot. You know, he's. I think he's really going somewhere in chess.
Oops, I'm sorry. Let's take a look at the game. It's a King's Gambit, Nick.
Oh, well, but Kevin played the King's Gambit. I would have kind of expected Christian to try the old opening, but interesting that 9-year-old Kevin plays it.
And what is this variation called where black plays d5? Does it have a name?
Not really. I mean, it's well,
not one of the main moves. I guess maybe it is.
It was. This is actually, I believe, how Spassky Bronstein went. So it's from 1961, the James Bond game that they put in from Russia with Love.
Right.
But Spassky didn't go bishop b5 check.
Well, Spassky probably played knight c3 or something like that, right? D4 or C4.
I think it was D4,
or
yeah.
C4.
There's a D4 and a later C4 and such.
And then a very strange sacrifice, a couple of very strange sacrifices. So this black takes back with the pawn. Okay. Got
with the pawn?
Yeah, I would have thought black should take back with the knight, but
that would have seemed normal to me. Yes. Why with the pawn? That's
Yeah, why give up the pawn and just to take with the pawn?
because now your knight's on d8. That's
And
Kevin
this
is
this
just
gives another tempo to white with d4. I think this is black is making some mistakes in the opening here.
Christian. Yes, that's what's going on with you, Christian. That's might be.
And maybe Kevin could go for more here by playing king f1. Maybe. Ooh.
Well, they get an end game, and the end game should be a little better for white, but
Still, I think the game has been a little bit misplayed here. I think
right. Yeah, I think Christian
you
threw
know,
it up a
there's no
little
reason
bit.
for white not to take with the king, for example, here. And then he can play rook e1 on the next move.
That's certain.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I find this a bit odd.
Yeah, taking with the bishop. Both players have lost some tempo here. Okay. It looks like white has won the game here somehow already.
Won which game?
This game, there might have been a mistake.
Okay, the bishop's attacked.
Oh no, it says 1-0, but I don't think so. I think the game is still in progress. I don't know why it says 1-0. We'll have
DGT madness.
We'll have to get DGT madness. Yes, we'll have to get an update from Abel when he comes back into the office. Okay. Let's move on to board 6, where Steven Svoboda is playing James Mahudi. And let's see how this game came about. It was, whoops, I keep doing that, Nick. It's a Nimzo Indian Samish variation, right?
Yes.
How come Samish got so many openings named after him and Capablanca got none?
It's very odd. Of course, Capablanca didn't care as much about the opening as Samish. He'd just beat you in the middle game.
Okay. There's probably a couple of Capablanca variations out there somewhere. Do you know of any?
Well, they say Queen C2 in the Nimzo would be the Capablanca variation.
In this position instead of A3.
Yes.
And the Rubinstein variation is what, E3 and knight E2?
Or just E3.
Yeah.
But somehow it was, I guess, easy to get something named after you when the Nimzo Indian had just started. So anything you play against it.
Right.
We just need another Nimzovich, and then we play against him and we get our names in the opening.
Is this way that black is playing? This is a kind of a classical way, right?
Yes.
But combined with this Nimzovichian knight c6 move.
And now Mike Wilder says in the the knight c3 and the Caracan is called the Capablanca variation. But yeah, somehow they're such natural moves. People don't really think of them.
You know, I think Capablanca had Checkmate was named after Capablanca. Check and mate. A play,
So
yeah, even and there's other players like that too. Well, Lasker has a couple of variations named after him. I think,
yes.
which is
No,
it's odd the legacy left by some of these players. Like Morphy, A6 against the Roy Lopez is called the Morphy defense. I think
yes.
I like that a lot. I think it's um,
And then Philidor, a century earlier, had his Philidor defense.
right.
And
Okay,
who's
so
the
this
oldest person with a variation named after them?
I'll bet you I think there's a McDonald attack or something against in the King's Gambit. One
Okay,
of
that's something like the 1840s.
yeah 1840s. Um, so Black plays knight a5.
Yeah, very logical. Hit the pawn, and white exchanges, so undoubles the pawn, but the c4 point is still a bit of a weakness.
And here comes the classic idea of playing e4, which black is restraining and white is trying to play, and c5. This is quite a classic battle here. Whoa, bishop to b1.
And that move is a little unusual, you have to say.
He's setting up the battery with queen d3. Yeah, I guess the rook can come to a2 and then over to the out that way. Is that what white tries to do here?
Yeah, you can. It's a bit of an odd move, bishop b1.
All right, I agree. Bishop b1 is unorthodox.
So,
And this
I mean,
seems to. I'm not sure about bishop a6. I would prefer rook e8 or something like that, more restraint. And the white bishop goes back to d3. That's got to be wrong. Although maybe somehow it's equaled itself out, with white being more able to play e4 now. All right, from my perspective, if we go back a move or two here, after bishop b1, I think I would have just played rook e8 or something like that, or rook c8.
well, we could get into the details of the opening, but let's not. How about we see some of the action elsewhere?
I agree. All right, so what about c4 now or something? Or just take on c1.
Yeah, they're both seem to be good moves.
All right, let's move on to board 7, which is kind of the jinxed board in the DGT madness. We've noticed that board 7 is often, he played c4 by the way, but okay. So let's move down to board 7 and take it all the way back, and it is a French defense, Nick, with knight f6.
Adam Stafford against Kayvon Reese.
Yeah, this is
okay.
This is a classic club matchup.
A Steinitz variation of the French.
Isn't queen d2 the usual move here?
This is all been played here.
All right. My opening knowledge is so bad.
Queen d2 has also been played. So pawn takes d4, pawn to b4 is the theory, and he plays it.
Is there a b sac on b4?
You can sacrifice on b4 is supposed to be a little better for white, but very sharp variation. So queen c7 makes a lot of sense. But knight takes. Yeah, maybe white's a little better
These
here.
moves have the logic to them. Whoa, b5. Okay.
Okay, immediately pressuring that knight. And would you go back?
Followed by what looks like a little bit of a speculative sacrifice. But it is going to gain a few pawns.
Knight takes e5 and queen takes. So is Mike Welder saying the hotline from on, but maybe that's before the sacrifice on e5.
All right. Well, white declined the sacrifice, Nick, and castled. And isn't the pawn still hanging at c3? Maybe, I don't know.
How can you just castle? That's
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Adam, why didn't you take the knight? If queen takes c3, queen to b3, maybe? Oh no, queen c3 is check. Queen g2. Then what? Bishop takes b4? Is that so good? King to e2, maybe? There probably are other moves too. F takes e5, queen c3 check, queen d2, bishop takes...
Trade the queens.
Well, I was thinking bishop b4. Bishop takes b4. Then black is threatening queen takes b2.
Okay, yes, and maybe you have to play king e2 and that's it.
And then black could trade and play knight takes e5. He's had 3 pawns for the piece.
Yes, you get 3 pawns for the piece.
Actually, you've got 4 pawns for the piece, right?
1, take on e5, take on c3, queen d2, bishop b4. That's already 3 pawns, and the e5 pawn is hanging. Yeah, that's going to be 4 pawns for the piece.
That's a lot of pawns. Knight e5 looks like an interesting move. All right, well, we can't get too much into it. Like you said, castles. And black took on d3. I guess queen b2 is a little riskier now. But who knows?
So, okay, it's a pawn sacrifice. You've lost
it's
the key e5 pawn. So, seems like a dubious sacrifice, but you are ahead in development. So,
but black
maybe you're going to get some shot.
Yeah, black is spurning more pawns. I like black for sure, although white's trying here. Here we are. Black for choice.
Yes.
All right, let's move down to board 8, where Brownlow is playing Gimmelfarb. And this game has gone a lot slower than some of the other games we're looking at.
A nice, slow, sane game.
The players are just, okay, bishop e3, I guess, possible for sure. Black, of course, is equal here.
But safe for white.
Right. All right, that's board 8. And then on board 9, Nick, we have the top board in the under 1800 section, where Daniel Wang with a perfect 4-0 is playing Marty Cortines, also with a perfect 4-0.
Well, okay. Those players have been playing really well lately. So I've been noticing Marty's games.
All right, we're gonna go see how this game develops. It's a Queen's Gambit Slav, right? Is it still a Slav when white plays G3, or is it a Catalan?
Yeah, it's okay. It's a sort of a hybrid and can take on C4. Well, I guess that's it. Yeah, it can be a closed Catalan or taking on C4 an open Catalan. I guess I'd call this a Catalan rather than a Slav.
Okay. Oh, knight G2. Well, I guess white's not really expecting much from the opening here.
Well, he's trying to get in pawn to E4.
Yeah, actually, and that's true. It's a little awkward for black to play E5, I suppose. Yet. All right.
So it's
not
kind of an aggressive move by Daniel.
Rook E8. Who knows if that's the right move? But black.
Yeah, and E4 comes and it's very active for white.
Alekhine would play this position with white perfectly. This is a very Alekhine. I got. This reminds me of sort of middle game positions of Alekhines for some reason.
White should be a bit better with just freer pieces. Bishop F4, Bishop F3 or something.
Oh, I think white hung his D4 pawn and black didn't take it.
Oh, now if you take on D4, rook to D1, queen to E6, knight D6.
You know what? Something like this actually happened. Look, Nick, we're getting the crazy DGT from. We're going to eventually reach something like that. He did take on D4, and then the queen went back to B6 after white played rook FD1.
Okay, he just took on D4 right away.
You know, sometimes when I'm here, I feel like I'm an interpreter in a foreign language.
You understand the computer.
Yeah. Is it white looks like he's close to trapping black's queen? B4 maybe? Or A3 and B4?
A3, knight D5, so the queen has the D8 square.
There you go. So maybe B4 right away? Can you snag it somehow?
Well, the queen just takes on B4. That's the thing about almost trapping a queen or something. It's almost, and
right, almost.
It only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Well, I want to try to trap it, so, and I think I have to play B4 then, queen B4. I can play bishop C7, trying to play rook B1 and trap the queen. It looks crazy.
I can take your knight on E4 so I can.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Spoil sport, Nick.
It's just not that easy.
Yeah.
It looks so good. I'm not sure you wanted to play that pawn to C5 and give them D5.
Well, white has sacked a pawn here, and not in the way that it showed up on the DGT board either. But queen C2 was a provocative move.
Indeed. I don't think Daniel, of course, Daniel didn't have to do that.
Right. Okay. I say we roll on to while we wait, and we go back to well, we'll go to board 2 in the under 1800 section, and that game went like this.
So Jim Ratliff is only seeing the round 4 games on chess.com and live follow chess.
Yeah, they for some reason it's not updating on those websites. I don't know why. Abel doesn't know why either.
Okay, sorry, Jim. Nobody seems to know why.
Technical glitch.
So here, standard Sveshnikov Sicilian. And as Mike Wilder points out, chess 24 work. So that's
Oh, we're on chess 24, huh? This looks like a high level game here.
Well, okay. White has the D5 square, black has dark squares.
Oh, well, here knight takes f6 and queen takes d6. I think this is white misses this.
Okay, knight d6, queen takes d6. Well, that sure looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving up the
I think black both players overlook this. Queen d3 is played, and whoa, knight a7. That is extremely odd. Black should go back to g7 here with the bishop after having played g6. So I think we're seeing, and now white does take on and takes on d6. And this has been a disaster for black. Knight b5. So if takes...
such a move.
That's an amazing move, yeah. To muscle into c3 or d4. It looks interesting. So okay, I'll bite. I take on b5, and you go rook bc8.
For bc8, you go queen to b6.
And then on rook c2, you can play queen takes a5 and say to black, what have you got? Oh, you can double rooks on the 7th. I guess that's kind of nasty.
Maybe you could have to go queen a7 or something.
Yeah, white gets tied down to the defense of it. I don't think white's going to win that position. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I'm not sure you should take that knight on g4.
That's a cheeky knight move, if ever I've seen one. Wow. Great move. Black is fighting back after having made a mistake.
Yeah, but it's a great move. So confuses your opponent. Lots to think about.
It's confusing me. That's why I'm going to go back up to board 1, Nick.
Yes, now Ezra had sacrificed a pawn. Let's
all right, we'll go back a few moves. And Ezra castled after queen c7, and then Nathan just continues to play provocatively, I think, with f6. Check. Makes sense. And then with the king on the f file, white plays f4, and black naturally blocks it off with f5.
So the
Let's go-
position is at least blocked there.
Yeah.
Um,
Knight g5. Well, what does that threaten? G6. I think black has done well here, in a way. At
yeah,
least
knight g5 was a little odd.
I'm liking black a little bit more here now. If I can
Okay, but still,
untangle this bishop and knight problem.
but that queen side, it's still, who cares about the pawn too much there? And maybe you should play bishop a3.
Trying to get the knight to d6.
Get some play on the dark squares.
Well, black's in the thinking tank here. How about king g7, bishop f8, and knight e7? You still have to, black has a long way to go to unravel his pieces here. A long way to go. I can't even see a 5 moves that would get him his pieces onto decent squares.
Well, this will be interesting. It's a long-term pawn sacrifice. So we'll just watch this develop.
Okay.
It'll be entertaining.
And on to this game. Let's go back a few moves. So after e5, black played e6.
And that might be theory, yeah.
White took on e6. That makes sense to me. If you take on f6, black can play e5 maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so take on e6. Is there any other move? Maybe pawn to d6?
It looks like a good move. Take on e6. And then he takes on f6. So
Right.
that's pretty good. Like, you've gotten a pawn back. Okay, queen d7 stops the threat of f7 check and mate on g7. So something's funny.
Yeah, somehow I don't think black has played this right. But again, not knowing theory is a big problem here for me.
Well, Mike Welder says bishop e7 was the wrong move.
Bishop where? Bishop to
When
f.
when the black bishop went to d7.
But it never went to d7.
I think you're right. I'm sorry, he's saying bishop f7 was the mistake.
Bishop f7 is a mistake. So what's the move? It should go to d7. It's got to move.
Yeah, he's saying bishop d7 was the right move rather than bishop f7.
Huh. That's counterintuitive, isn't it?
Okay.
Very counterintuitive.
All right. Let's take Mike at his word for that.
Right.
And
but
we'll just take a look at the position. And so one pawn, White's got a lot. And okay, I mean, still, how do you break through? When black's ready to develop all the pieces. Maybe, okay, Mike says knight takes g6, double exclamation mark.
I
Knight
can
takes
see how that
G6.
might work, and then Queen E5 or Queen E5 first, maybe.
Now, knight takes G6. You can't go Queen takes G3 because of pawn to F7 check.
Okay, I'll buy that.
So knight takes G6. You have to take it. Bishop takes on G6.
Threatens F7 check with a vengeance.
And then bishop to F7. And maybe queen to B1. Threatening bishop H7 check.
And bishop G7 mate.
Ooh, Mike, thank you for knight takes G6. That's
It looks like it might win right on the spot. I mean, what can black do? He can go back bishop F7, but then knight goes back to F4.
yeah, no, if you give up that second pawn, that should be it. But yeah, knight G6, pawn takes G6. I think just bishop takes G6, threatening F7 check. So bishop to F7 and queen to B1.
What a great move, Queen B1. The very slow threat. Can the bishop go back on the diagonal? Bishop back to E6. Then F7 check, bishop F7, and Queen B2 check. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay, Mike wants to go knight G6, pawn takes G6, bishop G6, bishop F7, rook G1, queen C7, then queen B1. It looks extremely promising for white, but I don't think Akko is going to find knight takes G6.
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out in a little while. First, we're going to look at Guy Argo versus Elliot Winslow.
Back. And
somehow
double pawns for black, but the bishop pair. I kind of like the black side.
Rook E8 is a canny move, I suppose. Black is a little better here for sure.
Well, Guy is going to have to try to blockade, just make the position static so the bishops aren't so powerful.
You know, there's one game, there's one ending that I remember more than any other out of Reuben Fine's basic chess endings, Nick. And that is a game, I think it's Stoltz versus Kashdan from the Olympiad or something. And it's a position where it looks completely even. It's black has a bishop versus a knight, and white has no pawn weaknesses or anything, and it's like a symmetrical pawn situation with pawns on both sides of the board. And Kashdan just plays this fantastic endgame to just, doing all the right things, and it's like this model black endgame.
And he wins the game?
And he wins the game, yeah. It was just a really nice game. And it's given as sort of the model game. The bishop starts probing. The pawns are pushed up on one side of the board, and the bishop starts probing, and the weaknesses are created, and then imbalance, and then Kashdan gets in, through this, process that's very instructive. I think always remembered that, and it got a great appreciation for the bishop over the knight in an endgame.
Well, here it's two bishops against two knights, and okay, black definitely needs to sort of make the game more static. If it's fluid, the bishops will be really happy.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed too is I was looking at different end games for this class that I teach, and I was thinking, well, what about two bishops versus two knight endings? Are they any different? And I just realized that's even slightly more of an advantage for black, in that he has the choice between which bishop to trade. So it kind of increase, if the bishops have an advantage, it'll be even more so, because black will have more choices to which bishop to trade. Generally speaking, anyway.
Okay, well, we'll see. See if Wiley Winslow can grind out that position. Okay, back to Alex Chen and Sean Kelly with that Nightorf variation.
Nice
That's a
move.
very sharp position.
Nice move, knight b6. You gotta like that.
Looks like black is getting the initiative here.
Definitely. Pawn e4 or knight c4 and then pawn e4, or yeah, black is doing well here. I mean, knight c4, bishop c1, queen b6 check.
And king to h2 or something. Is there a great follow-up for black?
Yeah, maybe h4 or take on f4 and then h4, or some combination of those two. Or black can try to play pawn e4 maybe.
It's looking very active for the black side.
Yeah. Okay. This is Kevin's son versus Christian Clemens. And it still says, we've gotten some more moves, but it says white won. But we know that's not the case. The game is still going on.
This isn't your mystical board 7, is it?
No, it's mystical board 5. Kevin's son versus Christian Clemens. King g8. For some reason, the result is down as a win for white, but we know that's not true. Gotta like white here, huh?
Yes, looks very active for white with all those pieces developed, the bishop learning things.
Okay, well, we'll come back to this. And on board 6, Steven Svoboda plays James Mahuti. And this was the Nimzo, same-ish variation. And what about Nimzovich? Why did he get his name on so many things, Nick?
It's odd. Maybe he promoted himself well. Well, the Nimzovich defense, of course, the Nimzo Indian defense that would make anyone famous to be titled that. What else did he do? He did a lot of theoretical work. He wrote a lot about the Queen's Indian and such.
Yeah, and then there's the Nimzovich Larson opening and the Nimzovich defense against e4, knight c6, right?
Yes.
Just he's all over the map.
Now look at this game between Stephen and James Mahudi.
Looks like Black chose that C4 plan, but it didn't quite work out for him.
No.
I think that maybe he should have left his knight on B3, because after C4, let's see how this went.
He traded his knight for that bishop on C1 that was doing nothing.
Yeah.
He locked up the queen side. So
And
his
now
strategy starting with pawn to C4 was not.
And now this
good.
is almost, this is White's got an improved version of the Capablanca, Bafana Capablanca thing here, right?
Knight F5, maybe you just take the
Black should,
pawn anyway.
Black should take the pawn. That was his chance.
I mean, it's bad enough. Get something for your misery.
Yeah, but here he's just getting pushed around. F4 is coming too. Yeah. Black missed a chance there.
All right. And F4 is coming. Ouch. Ouch.
And this is Adam Stafford trying to show that his now double pawn sacrifice is getting anywhere here, and it doesn't look like it is to me.
Oh, once that black pawn gets to E5, what if you just trade and pawn to E5?
Yeah. I mean, clearly White is hoping for opposite bishops of opposite colors thing or something. This is bad. Looking bad for White.
Indeed. That's
And this is the
I forgot exactly how the opening went.
This was a like a reversed Philidor or something. Oh no, White plays G3. So like a irregular opening or King's Indian attack or something like that. I hate to say this, but this is board 7, and no, it's not.
Wow.
Oh, it's not. It's board 8. So they're just taking their time on this game. They're playing in Grandmaster mode, Nick.
Oh, Paul, how many players are there this evening live?
62 plus 24.
62 plus 24?
Yeah. So that's 80.
86. Wow.
Yeah, it looks like 86 players.
Incredible in COVID times.
Yeah.
86 live players. That's
It makes me.
Bob is just roaring back.
Chess. I mean, I've mentioned this before, but Marshall played Capablanca, that famous game, the Marshall Gambit, was played at the height of the flu epidemic at a chess club in New York City. So chess players are a breed apart, folks.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming out and playing. Everyone's wearing a mask, Nick, and if they're not, they're being chastised.
And are spectators allowed?
Yes.
Oh, they are.
There are people. Well, I think so. There are people. I think there are people watching. Maybe there are other players. Yeah, no, there are people. There are people spectating. Very few. Tony's playing, for example. So there have been people. There might be a couple of people watching.
But if anyone wants to come down, they're allowed to come down with a mask.
Masked. Everybody is masked. Except for me. I'm alone in the office here, so I'm not wearing a mask. People are beating the door down to get in here, but I'm like, no way. You know, I had to say, sorry, Gary. You know, I need to see your press pass. Okay.
This game's a little slow with Samuel and Ilya.
All right. White's got the bind for the pawn.
Let's see this. This is your pawn sacrifice. And
well, it's not my pawn sacrifice. It was Daniel Wang's pawn sacrifice.
Yeah, and he's a pawn down. That bishop on c8's not in the game yet.
White has compensation, I suppose.
Say you play rook to d2, pawn to e5.
And then White tries to get his pawn back. Rook e1 or something like that. But then Black can just go, what, bishop somewhere.
Well, actually, rook d2 guards the pawn, prepares to double pawn to e5. You can throw in bishop e4 to hit the h pawn and stop the queen from going around.
And maybe you can trap that queen, Nick.
Yeah, it's
who knows?
It's played, definite play for the pawn. Okay.
All right, we're going to move on here, where this is board 2 in the under 1800 section. That last game was board 1. Tough little game here. This is board 2, Christopher Dessert versus Stephen Parsons.
And this was interesting. This was this Sveshnikov Sicilian.
Oh, yeah.
With this knight b5 move, and if you want to go back to
and look what White played, Nick.
Knight b5, he just knight b4, and let's pause here because that's quite a move.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great move. If the knight's going to die on c2, let's get something for it. And that knight is headed to c6 or to d5, so it looks like you got to take it. If Black had played knight to d4, maybe just knight d5, and you're 2 clear pawns off.
So he took it. And now White is compelled to take on b5, I would imagine.
And the b4 pawn is hanging, but rook to d4 so guards it. But looks bad for the black side.
Yeah.
You go pawn to a4.
And if bishop takes b3, pawn a5.
It's a thought. Just rook on f to d1 something, and
that was the boring. That was the boring move I thought of.
Yeah, maybe just a rook d1.
Black has to prove it here. He's 2 pawns down.
Yeah.
All right, let's go all the way back to board 1, where Ezra Chambers is in a dogfight with Nathan Fong.
Okay, yeah, this is good. All right, Nathan, do your best because Ezra's been tearing up the field.
Yeah, 4-0.
So if you could get in knight e7 and bishop c6, put something on d5, it would look great for you. But you're down in development.
Maybe white should make a clearance sacrifice himself with d5. Or think about it.
Definitely dangerous. D5, would you go queen C5
Yeah, I just saw that.
check, bishop
Bishop
E3,
e3.
queen takes D5,
And then rook
rook
d1
F.
again.
It's all
Cheap. It's cheap. I like it. I like it, Nick. It's cheap.
well. The positions you can't consolidate. I mean, there's just going to be action for a long time here. I mean, you could just do bishop d2. There's just a lot of play for the pawns. So this is going to be very entertaining here.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's move on to Eiko Hidari versus Nicholas Wang. And Nicholas is in trouble, we think. But Eiko did not see knight takes g6 and played bishop e4 instead.
Yes.
Knight takes g6 would have been an incredible shot. But it's difficult to see. Very difficult, I think. Rook d8.
Yes. No, this is
Now black threatens queen d4 maybe.
Yeah, at least that knight g6 was a great move, but black is back in the game.
So here's another. What about queen e5 here?
And then queen d4 check.
Oh, the king is on h1 still.
Oh, excuse me. Queen d5, queen d4 anyway. Oh, the knight on a5 is hanging. Wow. Queen d5, knight c4.
Queen g5.
Oh, really looking to sacrifice on g6. And if bishop to f7, maybe anyway you sacrifice.
Yeah, you got to.
Knight takes g6, pawn takes g6, bishop takes d6 with discovered checks. Yeah, very dangerous. What a plan. Queen e5, g5, sacrifice. I like it. Akko, he likes to think in these positions, and
you could also maybe play it a little safer, play queen e1 and then queen g3 or something. No, then black would have bishop f5. I don't know, Nick.
No, I kind of like your queen e5, queen g6 move. That's
tough little game, chess. All right, this is Winslow, Guy Argo Winslow. This is not easy for black.
I like pawn to d4. You just had to do that. Try to get it static.
All right, well, what about, I mean, okay, let's say I fall for it and play c4 and just try to blow open the queen side. Maybe not good enough. Or just play b6. I don't know, maybe Elliot's plan here of allowing white to double the pawns to get the two bishops was not right, but maybe should still be a little better for black, huh?
Yeah, probably with the bishops.
All right, let's roll on to Alex Chin versus Sean Kelly on board 4. All right, white is
So he
sacking.
did play pawn to e4. Somehow I don't like that move unless you can crash through. Knight e4.
And the pawn on h5 is hanging, incidentally.
Aha. Yeah. Knight c4. I don't know if you take the pawn on h5. I think he has to play knight c4.
And the pawn on d5 is hanging.
Oh. Now, why not knight c5?
Yeah, and e4 was a good move if you just want to grab some material.
Maybe you're just winning the pawn on d5 after e4. Yes.
Well, white's got queen h5.
Okay, I would rather have that center pawn than
Yeah, me too. And plus
pawn.
pawn to b4 would really destabilize white's position.
Oh, black is just better.
Yeah, black's got a lot of nice moves. And here Kevin's son is playing Christian Clemens. And I'd still say black's getting pushed around, but anything could happen here. The knight might come to e4, but then the pawn at c4 hangs. Maybe some positions.
Yeah, no, and there's no checkmates.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
oh,
And this
Christian is showing his young opponent, something.
And here black somehow circled around and took the a3 pawn after going through some adventures with the queen on the king side. He's managed to swing around and get the a3 pawn anyway.
So there's a pawn, but white certainly is going to have an attack with those pawns on e5, f4, d4. It's
yes, this is
definite.
Can black hold on? And white is really drawing back the arrow as tight as he can here with doubling the rooks on the f, or putting the rook on f1. It's not really doubling the rooks if the rooks don't have an open file. Is it? Technically speaking?
Yeah, well, doubling the rooks to nowhere. So.
Right.
Yeah, so let's see how he builds up the attack. Because it's gonna come. But meanwhile, black doesn't have any weaknesses yet.
Yep. All right. And we're on to Stafford versus Kevin Reese. This is turning into white trying to land a shot before he gets destroyed.
Those black pawns are taking over the game. Wow, what do you do?
Well, you got to throw in c6, and just because.
I don't know how that helps, though.
Well, it opens up the bishop's diagonal for a cheap bow later on. Yeah, I mean, white's in trouble.
Yeah. No, nicely played by Kevin. Just control the center with your pawns and pieces.
And this game is still proceeding quite slowly.
Yeah, I think this game will provide its entertainment at the end.
Okay.
And, the other games have been decided. So here it went according to plan. Rook d2 and bishop e4 to cut off the black queen. But
can't white play a3, queen a5, b4, and if queen d8, bishop takes e5?
Yes. So it's a3. Where does that black queen go? you go to b5 right away, does that
That
help
might,
it out?
yeah, that might change things because if bishop d3, queen a5, b4, queen d8, the bishop on d3 is blocking the d file. Black's position is starting to look a little suspicious here.
Yeah,
But
yeah. There's ideas for white. The white also can maybe go h4, h5, look to sacrifice something on g.
Yeah, yeah.
So Caven coaches Craig Marr. You remember Craig Marr, don't you, Paul?
Yeah, oh sure, of course.
Played
Yeah.
so many tournaments in the 70s and 80s, 90s too. Senior master.
Craig and I played a whole bunch of times. He was a tough little opponent for sure. I wrote about him in the newsletter as one of my friendly rivalries. All right, Black has to play Queen B5, I think, like you said.
Well, A3, if Queen B5, you can go pawn to B4 with a very harsh threat of Bishop D3 trapping the queen.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe Queen A5 is forced, and pawn to B4, Queen to D8. Bishop takes E5, gets your pawn back.
I guess Black sacks his queen then.
Rogers plays Queen to E7. Get your pawn back, but not sure you have that much.
Yeah, on Queen E7, Bishop F6, Queen F6. You have a little bit of an initiative.
Well, maybe.
Double rooks.
And Black gets the bishop to E6, and the position looks very solid.
Yep, okay. The tactic doesn't quite...
Okay, we'll see what Daniel Wang can think up in that position.
White played A4, Nick. Instead of rook D1, he played A4, and Black took on B3. And White's playing it safe by playing rook to B1.
Okay, interesting. I mean, if you can take that pawn on B4, he's very happy.
He's thinking about it.
Bishop C8. Now, if rook takes B4, rook to C8.
Queen B6.
And how do you
guard
the rook on?
How do you defend? That's right. Remarkable. There have been some good tactics in this game, actually, by both sides. Some very, very tricky stuff.
Okay, but maybe White is still a pawn ahead. Maybe you just do pawn to A5. Get him rolling.
Yeah. But then rook C4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. 4. And again, the queen is compromised. I can maybe take that pawn on b5.
Probably queen d6, rook takes b5, pawn to a6.
Also, bishop f1 is to be considered. Oh, no, no, no. Rook c2. Yeah, black's got rook c2 too at some point, maybe.
I think you can go pawn to a5 and it becomes tactical, but that a pawn is quite a monster. Yep, Mike Walder tends to agree.
So in this position, a5.
Yeah, pawn to a5, and then your rook c4, queen d6, rook b5, pawn a6.
Just keep going, huh?
But maybe you're right. Maybe you take the exchange anyway and not go pawn a6. This looks good for white.
Yeah,
So
he's got options.
pawn to a5, rook to c8, then queen to b6, rook c2, hitting the f2 point. But then maybe you can just stop with rook f1.
And then if he, oh yeah, queen is nicely placed there.
It looks like it should work for white, but it's they're starting all the tactics.
All right, we'll come
I
back.
hope he plays it.
We'll come back to this. Let's go all the way back up to board 1, Nick, where FIDE master Ezra Chambers is battling it out against Nathan Fong. Expert Nathan Fong, FIDE master Ezra Chambers. The only perfect 4-0 is, and Nathan's played an uncompromising game, and if he can stick a knight on d5 and get his king into safety.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you can go queen d7, king f7, knight d5, terrific, completely solid. So Ezra's played really well thus far, but this game he needs to do something.
Okay, tough game.
Well, we might be seeing an upset in the making.
Yeah.
Nathan will have his chance.
Okay, Aiko played queen e1, and the knight went back to c6.
That knight can come help on
Yeah, that's the difference
e5,
between queen e5 and queen g5 and queen e1, queen g3.
Queen g3, would you actually play knight to e5?
Yeah, that's true. Knight g6. Yikes. I guess bishop f5, but then bishop d5 check. What happens on
Queen g? Yeah, queen g3 looks nice. Wow. It just really piles up on that G.
Black might be losing here. I guess if bishop f5 or knight e5, he just takes on g6.
Well, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. No, on bishop f5, if you play knight g6, it just
No,
takes
but
back with the pawn.
we were going queen g3, bishop f5, bishop d5, check.
Oh yeah, that's
And you would have to sacrifice the queen on d5. Looks not enough. We're having trouble finding an answer to queen g3.
Can he go back? What if he goes back with the bishop? After
Queen g3, bishop f7. So if we sacrifice, knight takes g6, pawn takes g6, bishop takes g6. Maybe you have to trade. Bishop takes g6, queen takes g6, check, king to h8.
Bishop to g7 check.
Yeah, bishop g7 check, king to g8. Trying for a
do
draw.
you go f7 check instead?
Maybe f7
I mean
while
f7.
the king is on h8. And
that threatens
yeah.
something.
Yeah, it looks horrible.
Queen d4.
Queen d check. Well, you lose the rook on f8 on e8.
Oh yeah.
So just looking really good for Argo. But he's thinking, as he tends to do.
Yeah. All right, let's move down to board. All right, Elliot is going for the expansion on the queen side and the expansion on the king side.
That knight on.
If only white had been allowed to play f4 and g3.
If he plays g3 now, trying to go f4, black plays f4, keeping the game open.
Black's getting a little somewhere here. The knights are getting restricted. Maybe g3, f4, knight g2.
Yes, it looks like you'll have to let
You have to fianchetto
Winslow
the knight.
undouble his pawns.
You have to fianchetto the knight.
Nowhere for it to go, so pawn to g3.
Okay. Black's a little better for sure still. And this game, he played knight d5. The bishop went down back to c1, and black plays queen b6. Oh, black is definitely doing well here.
Has the extra pawn for the moment.
You know, I thought maybe b4 was even better than queen b6 because it immediately undermined the structure there. And white couldn't take on b4 because of queen b6. Now he gets that out of the way. But you can still play b6, I guess. I mean b4.
Still looks good for the black side.
Yeah, definitely. Kevin's son is having fun here, I think. I like the way this bishop kind of crawled around and into black's game. But that's
looks nice for Kevin, but Still materials equal.
Yeah.
Somehow, Christian doesn't seem to be that concerned. Oh, and here, this is Stephen against James Mabuti. Just, all right, James is going for it with the queenside pawn advance. And the question is, can you checkmate black on the king side?
That was f6 is an excellent move. I think it's gonna.
Looks like you have to play g6 and then queen d2 has
looking,
a lot of threats.
Yeah, or knight f5 and knight e7 check and queen d2, or
g6 knight f5 immediately, huh? Yeah, that's.
And knight h6 check is a big threat. And knight takes f7 check.
Yes, somehow James was a little too oblivious to that kingside pawn advance. Very, very dangerous.
Well, he got around to it, but first his queen took that big excursion over to the king side before coming over to the queen side.
Yeah,
and
so
I think that gave white some momentum.
So now black is in real trouble and is going to have to scramble.
All right, well, we'll find out how he does it. First, we're going to go to Stafford versus Cavan Reese. And the queens have come off. And black retains a 2-pawn advantage here.
Yeah, some maybe chances for white, but of course it's a really tough situation. Beautiful black pawns on the e4 and f4.
The knight can come into d3, maybe.
Yeah, very tough situation for Adam.
Okay, we're rolling down to Brownlow, Gimmelfarb. And some things have changed. White's played b4, d4, a4.
Slow pawn moves in this game,
Yeah.
and we're beginning to get some action, but you know, it's still, you know, nothing super exciting yet.
And it has come to pass, Nick, b4, queen d8, and white is thinking.
Yeah, I would have thought before, you know, because either you take that pawn on e5 or not. And
so what about h4 here, like you suggested? Just
yeah, and not, and just leave the queen there. That's interesting. That's quite interesting because you're still going to have it discovered on that black queen. It's got nowhere to go to. Or is there some other move even better?
Yeah, like the rook over.
Rook e1 maybe?
Rook d1 would discourage bishop d7, I guess.
Let's try rook d1, and we're going to go bishop e5 next. Rook d1, no help to go bishop g4, pawn f3. So on a to d1, maybe bishop to h3.
Or e6.
Yeah.
And if bishop e5, queen e7.
Maybe bishop h3, bishop takes e5, queen e7.
Go back with the bishop to d6.
Aha.
And then after queen d8, play bishop f8. No, it's just ridiculous.
But probably the black bishop is better on h3 than e6, so that the black queen has the square on e6.
Yeah, that's true too. So what about h4 then?
h4, yes.
I guess you can go bishop e6.
Or try bishop g4 first. I think you'd want to evoke f3.
And then let's say white is not interested at all in bishop takes e5. And just goes for the h4, h5 idea.
Okay. Yeah.
And just ignore.
Actually, h4, bishop g4, f3, bishop e6, on to h5. I kind of like it.
Just not even interested at all in taking on e5.
Yeah, that's a very active way to play.
Well, it's your h4 move idea originally.
You just keep the black side bottled up, a real pawn sacrifice.
Okay, we'll come back to this. And this is Christopher, this is board 2 in the under 1800.
What has happened here? He didn't go pawn to a5, he did queen a7.
And the queen went back to d8 to defend.
Yeah, but now I don't know what move white plays.
Yeah, he stalemated his own queen.
Yeah, I don't really like that queen a7.
Maybe the queen should go back to c5.
Yeah, although rook c8. Oh, okay, it does threaten the pawn on e5.
And white's starting to overthink the position, maybe. All right, let's go. Let's run back up to board 1, Nick.
And this may be the this get an upset here. It would change the tournament around. Because but Ezra's got a good plan. He
Still king g7. Black is getting out here, right? I mean, he holds d5, and what's he got to fear here?
There's a thought. Just king g7, say, take your pawn back if you want it. Bishop d5, queen takes d5, knight b4, pawn b4, rook 4. Pawns are even, bishops of opposite color. You like the black bishop better than the white bishop. Looks nicer for black.
I think
Yeah, probably.
Black doesn't want to get sidetracked by some mistaken ideas here. Maybe.
Yes, if you get greedy and defensive bishop e7, then I don't know.
That might be
maybe
good. That might be good too, actually. Or b5. How about pawn to b5? Oh no, then bishop takes. See, that's the kind of thing you got to watch out for. Something with the back rank. You got to be careful here. Although, I don't think b5 would be particularly the right idea here yet. But it might be.
Maybe.
Okay.
b5, bishop d5, bishop d5, trade rooks, bishop on b4, pawn takes b4, rook b4, and then just bishop F4 to hold all the ground.
Let's
Number
not
of
forget. Let's not
things.
forget that Black could play Knight C3 in this position.
Ooh, Raven exchange.
Actually,
Ooh, I
that
hate
looks
that.
actually it looks bad, right? Rook takes, bishop takes, Knight C5.
And hitting the queen
Yeah.
and the d6 point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what Ezra would love.
All right. Well, before that happens, let's look at this. Queen G3 has been played.
Oh, good. This is Akko's game, and we're maybe going to get a sacrifice very soon here.
Okay, we'll come back to this.
What can
Oh,
Black do to prevent the sacrifice on G6?
Queen D1.
Queen D1. But that's just temporary. Something kind of wrong. Queen D1, rook to G1.
I know. I think Black's in trouble.
Yeah, that sacrifice on G6 just looks good. So Jim Ratliff is saying 95 to protect G6 square. Well, we were thinking sacrifice anyway. Knight G6 with the queen threatens the knight on E5. So knight G6, bishop G6, pawn G6, queen G6. Check. Oh, that may just be a draw. Queen G6 check, king to 8, and we
F7.
oh, but there's a bishop on E6 in this variation, so F7 you can just take it.
Oh, that's right.
So Mike's suggestion of knight E5, pawn to H4, not sacrificing right away.
Yeah.
But that gives some defensive tries, like bishop F5, bishop D5 check, knight F7. Okay, that's not over. 95 seems to be the best defense. Bishop F7, knight takes G6, looks really good. So Nicholas has to be very careful here. Let's see what he can come up with. And we'll watch this game closely.
I mean,
Looks like
White still has quite a game after, say, 95, 96, and bishop takes B7. I know that's kind of copping out, but you can take back with the rook, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about 95 bishop to G7? Trying to play. I'm not sure what I'm trying to play.
Yeah, that bishop on G7 seems to get in the way.
I'm trying to take on G6 and play the queen around, but then the king can still go out to F7.
So 95 bishop G7, bishop F7.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Black has unexpected resources with 95.
Yeah, I like Mike's suggestion of knight e5 h4.
Just taking a
Still
slow
tremendous,
round.
still tremendous pressure on the king side.
Mm-hmm. All right, shall we move on?
Yeah, we'll be back soon. Let's. Wiley Winslow, is he starting to make use of his two bishops?
He didn't play f4. Can't white play f4 now and block it up even more? He did.
What is range
King
move?
g7 is a strange one. I mean, is black going to play rook e4? I mean, what else has he got? That's an odd one.
Knights love block positions and bishops don't.
So
Ooh.
why didn't
Oh.
he play f4?
It just, you've got me. No, you had to play f4, I think, and black is happy.
Well, I guess Elliot's going to play rook e4, but black...
maybe. Knight to f3 and knight to e5 is coming.
This is how to make white better. I would have played f4 if I was Winslow without even thinking about it. But, So, this was... f4 is just such an obvious move. I'm trying to figure out what Elliot was thinking. Maybe,
I think he just made a bad mistake.
Clearly, this is what white wanted to do.
Yeah.
Making the bishop on e6 a pawn. And making f5 a target. Strange call by Elliot. Well, he has the queen side that he can try to open up, and he's got rook e4 to try to put his rook there.
Which may not be easy to achieve.
Right, exactly. Meanwhile, white's got moves like knight f3 and knight e5, and funny game.
Taking a good turn for Guy.
Yeah. Okay, back to this game. This has gotten a little more dangerous for black, maybe, or more desperate for white.
e5, well, that's a nice move to get in.
Yeah. Now the queen can switch around, switcheroni over to the king side. And you can at least defend the d4 pawn, maybe.
Well, you can go rook takes d4 here on the queen. And if queen e2, knight d5,
yeah,
stops bishop e3.
Yeah.
Yeah, still looks good for black here.
Yes, let's move on. This is Kevin's son versus Christian Clemens. Black has to move his knight.
Okay, and presumably to b6. That's
and then maybe b3.
On to b3 and
rook c8, c7, knight a8. Meanwhile, yeah, still a complex little game.
Yeah, but that c pawn is looking strong.
Tough little game. All right, let's move on. After f6, knight went to g6, and white put the rook on g3.
Now, this is looking like these tactics puzzles, that we should soon get a position white to move and win. All that attack over there.
Well, what do you think? Rook g6? Is that a likely move here? Candidate move?
Okay, your pawn to h4. I don't know. Yeah, you're losing your pawn cover over there.
But white,
Knight
I think
f5
white missed a win here with rook takes g6.
Oh, pawn g7 just looks very wrong.
Yeah, it enables the black rook at b6 to join in. Doesn't rook g6 just win here?
Probably. Rook g6, pawn g6, queen g6, rook d7.
Or queen f8, knight f5. It's just crushing. Rook b7, yeah, rook b7.
Well, rook b7, pawn to e6 might be.
Yeah, rook g6 is just crushing, but he misses it, and he takes
a
on
tremendous
g7.
Exchange sacrifice.
I think black has gotten himself maybe a chance here. I don't know where, but
well, for the moment, there are no threats. Can you take the time and be really greedy? Pawn to b4. Knight to f5. And to b3.
okay, Nick.
On to b4. Pawn takes pawn, knight f5. Then pawn to b3.
Here it comes.
Now this game is double-edged.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to this one. Stafford versus Cave and Reese, and we've got still a technically must be a technically lost position here. Although white's putting up some resistance now.
Yeah, nice to put the pawn on d4 and cover some black squares. You can get the pawn on d4 and the black king up to d5, win the game.
Okay, we're going to move on to this game, which is still in its being very carefully played here on board 2 in the under 1800 section.
It seems like they started 2 hours later than everybody else.
Well, the time situation doesn't say that. But yeah, I know.
But they're just so slow in developing.
Hey, Nick, do you want a pretzel?
No, thank you. But I'm going to just take a 2-minute break and get a cup of.
All right, I'm going to go up to board 1 and wait for you. Okay, folks, this is board 1 of the round 5 of the Tuesday night marathon to September, October. We are in person and live at the Mechanics Institute Chess Club, the oldest chess club in the United States. I'm FIDE Master Paul Whitehead. Thanks for joining us, everybody. And Nick DeFermian is off having a cup of coffee, and FIDE Master Ezra Chambers is on board 1 versus expert Nathan Fong. Ezra Chambers is a perfect 4-0 in this tournament, but this game is up in the air. I'm going to say that black's got a very solid looking position here, and I might even go on record as saying that white looks like he might be even a little bit worse with that solid knight on d5. The Tuesday Night Marathon is this is the umpteenth reincarnation of it. It started in 1972 by former chess room director Raymond Conway during the early days of the Fisher boom, when the Mechanics Institute Chess Club suddenly exploded interest in chess. We're undergoing a chess renaissance now that's somewhat similar with the pandemic and the streaming platforms and the many other things, the rise in women's chess, the popularity of women's chess, there's the Queen's Gambit, and so on and so forth, has given rise to a huge popularity in chess recently. But the worldwide phenomenon that chess was for some months in 1972, I think, is probably never going to happen again. When Bobby Fischer took on the Russian, there was a Cold War, the height of the Cold War, in many ways. Richard Nixon was the president, and Bobby Fischer took on the Russian machine and took the world championship from Boris Spassky. Was world headlines for months. And that's when the Tuesday Night Marathon was created here. And here we are 50 years later, coming on to 50 years later. This amazing tournament is still being run. It was initially a 12-round tournament. One night a week on Tuesday night. At first it was called the Tuesday Night Limited, and then it became the Tuesday Night Marathon. And I have to say that I joined the club in 1972, late 1972, and I played in the second Tuesday Night Marathon. I still have a score sheet where I played my brother, Jay Whitehead, became an international master, and passed away a few years back. That was the first game I played Jay in a tournament. The last game I played Jay in a tournament, he beat me at Ms. Brown's Country Kitchen in the Mission District in San Francisco in international tournaments.
But that is something you played in the very second Tuesday Night Marathon ever.
Yeah, isn't that funny? And I have only one score sheet remaining, and it's against my brother, a game that I won. Yeah, it's funny.
Some of the history of the club, which Abel's keeping now, but John Donaldson used to keep so well. The person who had played in all the Tuesday Night Marathons for 40 years was Peter Gray.
Yeah, for 40 years he played in the Tuesday Night Marathon. Incredible.
Every single one of them, starting with the very first Tuesday Night Marathon.
Yeah, and here it goes on almost 50 years later, Nick. Next year will be the 50th. There'll be the 50th anniversary of the Tuesday Night Marathon.
That is fantastic, and hopefully it will continue for so that we get the 100th year anniversary of the Tuesday Night Marathon.
Yeah, it's the flagship tournament of the Mechanics Institute Chess Club for sure. The flagship event.
So good night to Mike Walder, who's telling us that Nathan Fong is better ahead of the tournament leader.
Yeah, it looks to
And,
me like black is better. I even went out on a limb and said so while you were getting a cup of coffee. Is that what you were doing, Nick? Getting a cup of coffee?
Actually, a cup of tea, but close enough.
Okay.
You know, it's this is late for me.
Yeah.
So
late for me too. Every once in a while, though, I do the foolish thing and I grab a cup of coffee late at night, and you know what? I end up staying up until like 5 in the morning as a result of it. I never learn. I never learn. But okay, let's move on here. He finds 95. Nick, this is a classic.
95 seemed to be the only move against the threat of knight g6. And now knight g6, knight g6, pawn g6, queen g6, king h8. Looks like a draw to us. With bishop g7, king g8, bishop h6 check. So,
all right, what, Nick, in that position, what if you played queen h5?
So you're talking about knight g6, bishop g6, pawn g6, queen g6, king to h8, bishop
g7, king g8, queen h5.
Well, I'm wondering what the threat is exactly.
Well, I want to regain the exchange by playing f7 check. And if you take it, I play queen h8 mate.
Queen h8 mate is quite a good move.
Of course, you can, yeah, of course, yeah.
But after that, queen h5, I would play bishop to f5. If f7 check, that does win a whole, no, f7 check, king takes g7, pawn takes e8, rook takes e8.
Is that just even? No, I'm a piece down. What have I done? I've given up the bishop on g7. That doesn't work. Right? Doesn't work, right, Nick? Are you still there, Nick? Folks, I'm going to take a 3-minute break and I'll be right back.
I think I'm back. All right. I had internet issues, folks. If I'm back now.
Okay, I'm back. He played knight g6. Wow.
Okay, Akko could not restrain himself. H4 was probably a stronger move.
So this is a draw.
Well, we will see.
Could play H. He could play H4 now, but that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, then bishop f5. Oh, you have to take,
Oh.
and black has to take, and you have to take on g6, king h8.
And all my cheap ideas don't work.
Well, no, I mean, it will look. We'll look. It's bishop g7, king g8, bishop h6 is a draw. Plays bishop.
And queen h5 will just, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a draw.
Well, queen h5, it's no longer a draw. There'll be a bishop f5, and the game will continue. Akko's looking like he may be satisfied with the draw.
Nicholas is a good player. This is a good result for Akko.
Okay, so Nicholas or Akko will probably think a bit before doing the final repetition.
All right, let's move just quickly on here. This is the Winslow game, which now black has actually looks like he's accomplished something by having the half-open A file there, or being able to open the A file at will.
Right, but interesting. If Guy just wants to draw, how about if just sits there? His knight guards the rook on a1, so even if black doubles rooks over there, it's you know, you're not afraid of an exchange, and you can't really break through on the king side. So
yeah, that I don't see a way for black to do anything. He could play rook a2. He could take on b4 and play rook a2, and then rook the other rook to a4 maybe. But by that time, white should be getting a defense together.
Yeah, the white king could be able to defend the knight on c2. Knight can come back to f3. Oh, this has not gone well for Winslow.
No.
You really objectively ought to be happy to draw this position.
I think you're right.
And what if the white knight came to e5? That bishop on e6 is just not a good piece.
That's a very strange choice by Elliot earlier to not play f4.
Very strange. He just lost all the dynamic possibilities by not doing that.
King g7 is an odd move too, so I'm not exactly sure what that move is all about.
It's a position that's hard to play. Maybe he wants to be able to get in onto f6, but or maybe he's just seen if he can run Guy out of time.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So he did take the pawn on d4 and on d5.
Ooh, this move, bishop to c8. I like that with the idea of going to bishop f5. But what happens on to g6?
Or pawn to
Yes.
f5.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it would be great if you could get in bishop f5, but
It looks like
white,
it's white's move.
yeah. Oh, things are happening here.
Yeah, bishop c8 might have been too slow.
I kind of like your pawn to f5.
And I was just admiring pawn to g6. But then I guess you could take on g6 and play knight f6.
You shore up the defenses that way.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. But f5 keeps it going.
So, sorry, pawn to g6, pawn takes, g6, queen takes, just says knight f6, bishop e3 does pin that rook.
And if knight g4 check, you can just move the king because the rook in e8 hangs?
Probably. Knight g4 check, you move the king where? h1?
That rook on e8 is still hanging.
But rook e6.
Oh yeah, rook e6.
Interesting
But then queen takes
complications.
g4. Oh, and then you can play a rook check.
So maybe the king in that line where the knight goes to g4 check, maybe the king should go to
g3.
goes to
Input
g3. d3 would allow queen takes e8
getting a game
checks.
put in here. Elliot's game resulted in a draw.
Drew it up.
Have some pretzels. Hey, Juan. Have a pretzel, man. Hey, you had a burrito? Oh, man. I want a burrito. No, it's cool. Burritos go
Pretzel
well
dinner.
with chess. Burritos and chess go well together. All right, let's move on. Kevin's son is angling for something with this advanced c-pawn, but what happens here? Bishop e5, knight e5, rook takes c7.
Yeah, maybe you need to get rid of the pawn. It's there's looks like it'll be good compensation for a pawn because you get the dark squares. But at least Christian gets rid of that dangerous 7 pawn.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Oh, yikes. Okay, this game is over. I don't know what happened here, but let's go back a few
This was our
moves.
puzzle situation. Let's go back and see.
Okay, after
Oh,
b3, white played queen d2. Oh, that threatens. Black played queen a2, and white played rook b2. Check, king h2.
Now, Queen H6 would threaten Rook takes G6. Oh, but Knight H4. Oh, you can't play a move like that.
Ooh.
Oh, you can't go Knight takes H4.
So what should he have played? Something else?
Of course, it's very dangerous, and I don't know about that Queen A2 move.
Maybe Queen F1?
Yes, why not Queen F1?
Try to involve the queen in the defense.
Absolutely. I love your Queen F1.
Of course, I could play Rook F3.
True.
I think black is close to busted anyway.
What is the threat though? Is Queen H6 strong?
And 97. So if A4, Queen H6, A3, 97 check.
Okay, so Queen H. What is Could you actually do Queen F3, Queen F1, Rook F3, Queen takes F3, Pawn takes F3, Pawn to A4.
There you go.
Queen to H6, and you have to stop Knight E7, so you go Rook to E6.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's
That's
so
what you
dangerous.
have to do. That's what you have to do.
It's probably lost anyway, but
You have to,
and
you have
the
to
last
part with the
couple.
lady. Jerry Hankin.
Oh, you know what? How about the move Queen takes B2, Queen takes B2 onto A4?
Threatening pawn to A3.
Because that Rook can't get back.
So what if white plays goes for broke here? Plays Queen D2, B2, Queen H6.
And so pawn to A4, Queen to D2. And yes, that Rook, Knight, and Queen and Pawn is too much.
Is it though? Can black play Rook E6?
And Rook to G6.
Oh yeah, Rook G6. Crushing. So
too many attackers.
Black went this way. Huh. Did white have something else here?
This looks good enough.
Yeah. He's only up a rook.
Oh, wow.
Oh. And this is crushing. Oh, he took with the queen. That's funny. I guess taking with the rook, it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, you should have taken with the rook. I mean, I don't. Yeah, you could have, hoped for something with those A and B pawns.
So he didn't take with the rook. Is that because of Queen G5, maybe? No.
No, it's just a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny if rook takes, pawn takes, queen takes. It looks like maybe white wants to go into an ending 2 rooks against the knight with queen g5. You trade and go pawn to a4, and it's not
It'd be
simple.
like that Kavala game.
Yeah.
Okay. So this has
Games.
happened, and obviously black resigned here. Or played it out to mate. We don't know yet. Let's roll down to the next game. Oh,
We count. Stefan won this one.
And this one has black. Looks like he's really made some progress here. And
oh my
fact,
God!
White resigned.
Look at that rook on b2.
Yeah. This was a classic, dominating. Whoops. I guess he just kept being. He managed to get a blockade of sorts here, but you can tell it's not going to last.
Yeah, and it didn't. It's
White,
decisive.
black sacked the exchange probably, and that was the end of that.
Yes, just that rook on b2. It's not.
Yeah. The only piece that belongs on b2 is the bishop and the queen. Whenever you see a rook or a knight on b2 or on the g7 square or something, the player's in trouble. All right. Whoops. Okay, so this is the Brownlow Gimmelfarb game, and still tough game.
All right.
Elliot Winslow's here in the room. Shall I ask him why he didn't play pawn f4?
I'm very curious.
Okay. He said he forgot.
What
We're all
reason?
looking at the thing and saying the only move here is f4, the only move is f4, and then you just allowed him to play f4.
I don't think somebody played it.
That's right. Elliot says at least somebody played f4.
Me,
Okay.
player.
All right, so let's see. This game is still, being fought at the Grandmaster level.
It is.
And what about this game, Nick? What's going on here?
Yeah, so it petered out to an even rook ending. That's I guess he took the pawn back on e5. I liked your idea of just playing as a pawn sacrifice, keeping all the material on when the white bishop was on d6 and the queens were on.
Okay, let's move on to. I'm sure that white is about to resign this game, especially if you look at the last two moves. White just played rook b1, and black just played queen takes b1.
Oh, let's see how this went. This somehow backfired for Christopher.
Yeah.
It was he got those passed pawns, but way too late.
Okay, so white did play the queen back to c5. Okay, you're going to enter a result.
What's that game?
Yeah, okay. The queen went back to c5. The rook went to c8. And the queen took on e5. We thought that we didn't look at this very. Black goes straight for the counterplay. Looks like he's losing or close to loss. But the rooks both come. Oh, maybe it was time to play rook f1 here, Nick, instead of rook takes b4.
Oh, but not rook takes b4.
No,
or
not
you
rook
just
b4. That's just
suicide.
suicide. Rook d1 check. Bu-
You have to play rook f1.
Bishop f1. Could he have played bishop f1 here? Yeah, rook c1.
That's well, bishop f1 is still better. Yes.
Yeah, it's still better, but he takes.
Yes.
This is disaster. Wham! There's no way out of this, except by giving a couple of checks, and then sacrificing your rook, and then giving up. Okay.
And then that's it. That's the result.
Yeah. All right, we're recording the results here. All right, let's move on to back up to board
Dramatic
one.
turn of events in some of these games.
Yeah. Here's board one. Ooh, somehow the knight got exchanged for the bishop, which seems to me to give white a lot of more freedom. I would have kept that knight on d5 and not exchanged it.
Yes.
That's a weird, that's strange how that happened. Let's go back here.
Now Ezra's got real chances.
Oh, they recorded. Draw.
That bishop on e3 just doesn't do much.
Yeah, why? I don't understand knight takes e3. That's just, that doesn't.
That's
Black can
just
play
a
all day
mistake.
with that knight on d5 and let white take on d5.
Oh my, that was a mistake, Nathan.
It's almost a mistake of the round, apart from the Winslow mistake. Not playing f4.
That's what we in the rumors.
Okay. Knight takes e3. Knight takes e3 just doesn't have that. You know, white. I would just play a4 here.
Yes, just a4. Bring your pieces into the game.
Yeah, knight
Get
e3
your
is
king safe.
has got to be a fundamental mistake.
Queen c7.
And
double.
of course, white's not probably not any better, but he's.
Oh, but now white's got
Ooh,
play.
bishop e4 is a shot, or is it? Rook b6.
Bishop b.
This is exactly the
Yeah.
kind of thing that Ezra was hoping for, I think.
Yes. Wow.
So rook c6, and then what? Double rooks? Oh no, he can't double rooks on the b file because of the bishop on e4. So maybe rook c6 is still good.
At least you got a rook on the D line.
Still looking like black might be a little better here. Or, I mean, rook c6 also stops rook d6, so it's just an obvious move.
Rook c6, rook to d5.
Yeah. But white has no threats. I guess.
If white could get a rook to d6, it would be really unpleasant.
Yeah. Yeah. Not easy to do, though. Maybe on rook b5 you just play a4. Rook c6, rook b5, a4. Or,
Maybe then rook a4, rook a5.
And then a3. Oh, I see. You could take on a3. Yeah. Yeah. Black made a mistake taking on e3. So I mean, this is not what he wants.
Again, I would go for the blockading strategy. Put bishop on c6, pawn on a4, maybe double the black rooks on the d line.
Okay. All right. Instead, he's doing the silly move that I thought of, rook c6.
I mean, it's not bad. But I see some possible tactics for Ezra
Yeah.
with this.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Okay, let's move on. This game must have ended in a draw. Echo is determined to have like no time on his clock and then agree to a draw. He has to get into time pressure, no matter what.
oh well, his requirement.
It's a requirement, so it's going to wait for a few seconds and then it'll repeat with bishop.
Queen H6, threatens F7.
Yeah, but then bishop f5. We were looking at that. We were looking at stuff like that. Bishop f5 seems to be the...
Also, for some reason I thought it was, yeah, that's just not.
Yeah, this was... White missed an incredible shot earlier on, we think, where he could have taken on g6 a couple of moves earlier than he did. But
That's such an old line.
oh, Nick, look, he allowed bishop to f5.
Oh,
He played rook h1. Okay, so bishop f5. What is he going to play? King g3, then rook d3 check. He can't play king g3. In fact, he can't move.
hard,
Yeah.
hard to find a good spot for that.
Rook h1 was a horrendous lemon.
It looks like a good plan, but it's not.
It's like Zitswang. I think this might be a position, a Zitswang position. Oh, he changes tactics with bishop h3. Okay. Black's played a good game. A really nice game. Well, rook d2 check almost works.
Interesting sacrifice. Rook d2 check.
Yeah, might actually, yeah.
Bishop takes queen f2 check, bishop g2, force queen takes d2 with the
Oh,
f4 pawn
no. He
hanging.
didn't play rook d3. He couldn't have played. I bet he played rook d2 check. This is one of those.
Nicholas Wang's sliders.
This is
What's
one of
wrong
those.
What's
Is that
wrong
what
with
you
rook
call it?
d3?
No, he likes to slide his pieces.
Slide. Oh, okay. So this is actually an interesting move because if bishop f5, queen f2, mate.
Oh, that looks like a good move.
Yeah.
Excellent move.
Although White could go back with the bishop to g2. This has been a complete failure on White's part here. Rook h1 was a bad mistake, I think.
Well, bishop back to g2, queen comes down to f2 anyway.
Yeah.
You're swarming all over him. Nicely played by Sean Kelly.
All right, let's move on.
But it was White's big mistake allowing that bishop to come to f5.
Elliot's saying he played something.
He did play rook d3.
Oh, he played rook d3. Yeah. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, rook g3. Nice move, I guess. Although rook d2 check might have been more forcing and maybe have been better. King g2.
Oh, to stop queen f2 check. That's the best move.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is.
And if you trade bishop on h3, rook takes rook pawn to e3.
Look, he played rook f3 without even thinking to play queen f2 main.
That didn't sound good. Alrighty.
And the Aiko Hidari Nicholas Wang game was a draw. He was like,
Totally winning.
well, looks like he might have missed a win. Yeah. All right, Sean Kelly is playing a nice game here, Nick.
Now, probably
Queen H8 check doesn't work.
there's no mate down there now. But if you have a choice, like rook to e2, how about, yeah, you could go rook on e to f1 or rook to e2.
Yeah, White's still hanging in there, huh?
Yes.
All right, so let's move on. Kevin Sun versus Christian Clemens.
Now that's very interesting. So they've made it to an end game.
Whoops, sorry.
And
sorry. And Christian this doesn't look so easy for the player that's a pawn ahead.
Pawn ahead for black, but the knight on c6 is a good piece. Hard for white to move, though.
So now rook b4.
So rook b4 and then
Knight d, then pawn to b3 maybe.
Pawn to b3 looks like a good move.
Both players are tied up.
But you win the d4 pawn, but white still at least has those two passed pawns on the queen side. So
okay, let's
take
move
with the
on.
knight, but better for black. Okay, so
yeah,
we will see if young Kevin's endgame technique is good enough to draw.
All right, we know what happened in this game. And this Grandmaster encounter is
Nicely played by Kevin.
So there might or might not be a pawn hanging on e4. I guess, well, white's got knight e5 tactic. Plus this pawn at b5 is getting a little dangerous.
That passed pawn can cause trouble. Two, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. You know, you see all those broken white pawns, but yeah, we like the white position. It's somehow works together with that passed b pawn.
Attack on d6. All right, we'll move on here. This game was agreed to a draw. Wang versus Cortinas.
Okay, fair enough. This final position looks
And of course, this is a
drawn.
win for black. So we're going to go all the way up to board one, Nick.
Oh, we haven't seen this for a while.
Black's in the think tank after rook b5.
And what's the time? Still lots of time left. But see, only 16 minutes for Nathan, so. Let's see, what's the idea for white to go queen to b3?
Yeah, knight e3 was was in this position was the mistake.
Okay, but this position might be very interesting. Yes, I agree. I really don't like knight e3, but now we're getting the position we have is going to get very tactical. Maybe queen to d7.
And you're right, Nick. Rook c6 was not a good move, I don't think, because it made the rook passive.
Yes.
Queen d7, and if rook a5, queen d4 at the least, right? Or queen d2, even better, counterattacking on g2.
Yeah, queen d7 is probably still a bit better for black.
Nice move.
But then start with some move h4, something.
And then
queen
and distract him with the a pawn. Queen t7, h4.
Yes, maybe then pawn to a4.
Black's got to regain the thread here of this game, which he's kind of let unravel a little bit. These games were both drawn, and we're still waiting for White to make a move here. He's got 3 minutes on the clock, Nick. Alex Chin is in trouble on the clock.
Yeah. It's
So if rook ef1, knight e3, bishop e3, queen e3.
Yeah, that looks
Oh
very
my
good.
gosh, that's crushing. Because if bishop f5, queen e2 check.
Yes. He probably has to play rook e2 in this position. And then you've got threats on the H files. Rook e2 keeps you in the game. Rook e2, maybe you have to trade everything and play pawn to e3. I mean, it's still technically winning position for black with
Right.
the X.
We're just trying to find a way to hold on, but White's got under 2 minutes now. Time is ticking away here. Bishop e3. Whoa! Wait a minute. That doesn't.
That's not a move.
No, that doesn't work. Knight e3 check and queen e3, and White has no time to take on f5.
Or rook e3 threatening knight f4 check.
No. This is just going down.
Yeah, or queen e3. Nothing works.
Well, his position was extremely difficult anyway. Okay, let's move on. to
okay, nice game by Sean Kelly.
Kevin Sun and Christian Clemens, who are battling it out here. Kevin's trying to make use of his passed pawn.
Okay.
Can you blame the guy?
Plays actively.
Mm-hmm.
Pawn down, but that B pawn is that's a menace.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep rolling. This game, we know what happened. This game, of course, we know this was the final position. Black is still thinking after knight c4. This game was a draw. This game was a loss. We are getting another result in from
Sean Kelly
Sean Kelly.
defeats Alex Chin.
Yeah. That was definitely happening. Game won by Sean Kelly. That's this game right here. White resigned. Let's go to the Chambers game. Black plays Queen C7. Holding the A5 pawn. And holding.
So if Queen to B3, threatening the B7 pawn.
Rook takes C5, then Bishop E6 check.
Or-
Wins.
Yeah.
It just wins. Yeah, what's he gonna do? Rook D7.
Guess you have to.
And then Rook B6.
Piling the pressure on. Yes. Well,
That's hilarious.
Rook B6, maybe rook takes rook, pawn takes rook,
Queen C5.
Queen C5. Check.
Yeah.
Oh, the king will go to F1. Oh, that's fair.
Well, then the queen could jump back to E7. But then do you have Bishop E6 and Rook C7 check?
Yeah, you do indeed. They're tactics for white now.
Yeah.
I'm afraid Nathan's bid for an upset. It's beginning to go wrong. Positions close to equal here and very complicated. It used to be just clear edge for black.
Oh, Kevin has lost his B pawn. How did that happen? Black played knight C7 and Kevin played B5 and lost the B pawn. Oh, he's going to play Rook C5, but that doesn't seem to work.
Oh, Kevin, this is some. Oh,
He's trying to get
some
out.
practice in the end game, Kevin.
He's trying to use tactics here, but it doesn't seem to be working. They're not in his favor. Knight D4.
Yeah, and you're 2 pawns down in a lost ending.
Yeah. Oh, how bad. Too bad. Kevin had a great game. Okay, so in this game, black holds tight with Rook A D8. Taking the rook off of the long diagonal and defending the pawn. I kind of like that move.
Yeah, I mean, okay,
I might worry about that knight at B4.
I guess that knight can go to D3 to C5.
Oh, there you go.
If you did rook on f1 to b1, where's that knight going? If it goes to c2, you'll hit it with rook a2. So maybe it should go to d3 right away. Don't know if we're threatening that e pawn. The knight on f3 to d2. So
But rook d8 looks like the right idea somehow. To kind of just hold the fort for a minute.
well, this will get interesting. It's been a close game and slow developing game for all the time, and still very close to even.
Okay, this has happened, and now rook d7 was played. So rook b6, I don't think that works, right? Rook takes b6, c takes b6, queen c5 check, and then the queen can go to back to e7 maybe?
Well, queen c5 check, king f1. You want to go back to e7, I guess you can.
I mean, I don't really want to do that actually. But maybe I have to. I could go bishop d5.
Yes, bishop d5.
And then Ezra's got nothing.
Bishop d5, and that's must be better for black. You could trade bishops and play rook c7. b6, rook takes b1, takes
Can
b6.
you can't trade bishops because your rook hangs at c1, right?
That's correct. That's correct. So black gets to trade the bishops on good terms.
So rook b6 isn't one tactic. It doesn't work.
So okay, you need to go slow, something like h4 for white. Rook b2 is now a threat. Well, no, not exactly. Because b7 is hanging.
So what does black do though? I mean, black is what does black do to improve his position? Oh, he plays bishop d5. Oh, but then bishop d5.
Yeah, and you don't want to take with the pawn if you have to.
It's like he's really gotten himself into a bit of a pickle here.
That's the thing. Black has put his pieces on passive squares, and white has them on active squares. h4, or maybe you can play king to e7, so that it's not going to be check on the 6.
Right, and then you can take on c5. Another result is coming in.
It's,
Kevin's son?
Kevin's son.
He lost.
Yep.
That was a bit of a tragedy.
And then to this one.
He imploded, as they say.
Oh, he had the better game, huh? For a while.
Yeah, for most of the game.
This one was over a while ago.
Yeah.
Svoboda. Okay.
All right. So Ezra switches over with queen h3. Is he going to play queen h4 on king g7? That makes a lot of sense. This game is going to get really tactical.
Oh, this, that queen is going to cause trouble on the king side. Something like rook d2, attacking the g2 pawn. You can maybe just go queen takes h6, rook g2 check, king f1, and white's got more threats than black.
Now queen h4, and queen d8, white can exchange queens and take on b7.
Queen h4 here, yeah, that's
That might be black's best hope, though. Black's really got himself into a strange pickle here. Queen h3 was a good move by Ezra.
yes.
Very direct.
Real threats.
I mean, queen h4, rook f7.
And then the rook gets to d1.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can take on c5 though.
Yeah.
Okay, queen h4, rook f7. Bishop back somewhere, f1.
A lot of jockeying around for position here. All right, I'm going to see what else is going on in the club. This game ended in I think this is the last game. Oh, no, we have this game too. Brownlow versus Gimmelfarb. This is white plays rook a3. What's the point of that? He's trying to trap the knight. But it looks like he probably won't be able to do it. So rook a3 is an odd move.
Well, as you say, the threat is rook to b3, knight to rook c1, the knight's trapped. So,
and if knight takes e4,
yes, maybe you get away with it. Very tactical.
Yeah. But that seems to be white's intention. And I think that's the only other game. There's two games going on. We have the top board, Ezra Chambers versus Nathan Fong, and the other game is the oh no, we have Brownlow versus Gil. So only two games are going on. All right, we'll stick with board one for a little bit.
Yeah, I knew this game of Brownlow Gimmelfarb would be probably the last one because it's just slow and careful from the very
Yeah, it looks
start.
like they started later.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, it looks that way. I don't know if they did. But.
Yes, it's just all the other games have had all their tactical flurries, and that one's just getting to the point where they're developing.
White has to be careful here. If he goes just something like queen a3, then queen d8, and suddenly black is way on the counterattack.
Queen d8 is a powerful move, yes.
So white's got to keep up the momentum here.
Yes.
Let's go to Brownlow Gimmelfarb. And black is still in the think tank.
What do you do if you don't want to go rook c8 because the d pawn hangs?
Can I go knight takes e4?
You try knight takes e4. Now, if we went rook to b3,
well, then I've got all kinds of sneaky moves. I can go knight a2. No, that doesn't look like it would. It might, because then I can come out to c3.
oh, now that would make sense with the
Knight
the
a2.
knight on e4.
Of course, well, I could play knight e5 maybe, and then take on e4. And that actually might be good because, well, the bishop would come alive. The bishop at g2 would come alive, Nick.
Well, let's try knight e4, knight e5, pawn takes e5, bishop takes e4.
Suddenly that bishop is a monster. But then you've got bishop e2.
And the rook would have to come to c1. Yeah, that seems okay.
It seems okay for white, huh?
Yeah. So tricky position.
Yeah,
Very tricky. Rook a3 is kind of a nice move.
it is. But I think there was lots of, yeah, there might have been other moves that sort of put the ball in black's court like that one does. It's a good move. Maybe black should switch over to bishop e6 or something and try to dislodge that knight.
Yeah. Although bishop e6 will do knight on f to d2. Funny, yeah. Rook a3 I like.
Yeah, it's
Very
a good move.
clever move.
It is a good move. Shall we cut up to board one?
Yeah. Yeah, now I'm sure that's going to get exciting. They're
Oh,
they're
he
thinking.
played the move that I thought he shouldn't play, Nick. Played queen e3.
Okay, Ezra was going for it, and we're saying, what happens on queen to d8? I love your queen to d8 move. Just
Counterattack.
now.
Oh, he plays
Yeah,
rook d2. Wait a minute, is that even better? That's the obvious move. Bishop f1. Now queen d7. This is getting very dangerous for both players here. I don't know, as this has gone wrong for Ezra, why didn't he play queen h4?
yes, with real threats to the king. Queen d7 kind of threatens queen to d4 check. Well, how does that go? Queen to d7, queen takes a5, queen d4 check, king to h1. I mean, that b7 pawn is hanging.
Nick, he played b6 without even thinking about it, but what? Oh, look at this. Pawn takes b6, rook c1. Pawn takes c7, rook takes g2, check.
What a nice move. My God.
What a tactic.
Down.
What a terrific tactic. Oh, that's a great move. It looks like it should be a great move. I'm not sure if it is, but that's a hell of a tactic there.
Now, queen to e3 on that rook.
That's an inconvenient move. Yeah, what about queen e3?
So the
Yeah, that actually looks pretty strong. I guess the rook can move somewhere. And then white can play rook takes b6. Well, maybe rook c2? No. What's going on here, Nick?
yeah, queen a3. You have to just hit that rook, that aggressive rook on d2 and dislodge it. Rook to a2.
And then rook b6.
Then just rook b6.
And I take back. My queen on e3 is defending the rook on c1.
Oh boy. So
Maybe,
yeah, queen e3 is a powerful move.
maybe b6 wasn't such a good move after all.
Actually looks like a to lose that b6 pawn is a terrible tragedy.
Yeah, I was praising the move, and then, okay, what about rook d5 here? Pawn takes b6. Oh no. Then rook c1, pawn takes c7.
And then double rooks on the that's interesting. Rook d5, pawn takes b6, rook c1, pawn takes c7, rook on d5 takes
d1.
Yeah, to d1, threatening mate. And that can be tough. Queen to e2, bishop to d3. Wow, great tactics.
I can't help but feel Ezra's lucky to have this queen e3 move. b6 was maybe not the move.
You know, it's like it's an out of control move. You know, it's like maybe you can make it work, but it's yeah, some move like queen d7, rook takes b6 is just good for a while. Yeah, that pawn just becomes strong.
Let's jump down
rook to
quickly.
d5, pawn takes b6 is.
They played queen d8.
Oh.
So rook takes b6. And then what? Rook d. He just lost on b6.
Yeah.
Rook takes b6.
Well, you can go rook to d1. Well, then trade rooks and go rook. You still might have equality, but I'm just wondering if rook to d5 would have won the game. Pawn takes b6, rook to c1, pawn takes c7, rook on d2. No, you would have had pawn to h3. sacrifice the bishop, king h2, rook takes c7. It was probably about an equal position with the queen sacrifice.
Let's move on to the other game, Brownlow versus Gimmelfarb, and the exchange did happen on e4.
Okay.
And bishop e2 has been played, and we sort of call this, whether it's, oh, he attacks the knight instead of defending the knight with rook c1. He attacks the knight at b4. I guess I can understand that.
Yeah, he's working on that b pawn. Which is becoming very powerful. Nice move, playing actively. And the knight would move, say, to d5.
Pawn to b6.
The knight on c4
Oh, the
is
knight's on c4 is hanging. Wow, the players have under 10 minutes each. Let's run back up to top board here. White played rook takes b6, and black tried to throw a little interference with rook d4.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
that move looks a little strange.
yes, it's all right. Can you go queen back to b3?
And black sort of hasn't found. Oh, he's threatening rook takes b6, I guess. And white has regained his pawn after 40 moves.
Yeah. Yes, that b6. Not good if you were going to follow up this way.
Yeah, looked like b6 didn't quite work. There was a nice trap involved, though. All right, let's see. Boom, 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 boom. This game,
only has 2 extra minutes, so things could go wrong.
Still waiting for this game.
Bishop takes c4, knight on c4.
Oh, that in that other game? I'll go back to that. Bishop c4, rook b4, rook d1 check. King f2. And rook d2, king e1. That's not working for black. Oh no, wait a minute. Rook e2, king d1, rook d8 check.
So you're talking about bishop c4, rook b4. What move? Rook d1 check?
Yeah.
King f2.
Rook d2 check.
And probably a draw.
Because if king e1, rook e2, and rook d8, I would guess.
Yeah, that would be very dangerous.
But he
Right,
played knight
bump-
d5, Nick. He played knight d5. Did Sam Sloan get a game?
He did not. Well, I think he got a casual game, but
Okay.
not a rated game.
Right. I don't know if he was looking for one. He was actually wanting to talk to Elliot.
Elliot. Dare we ask why?
This is a complex position still.
Yes. Now, if bishop d5, rook d5, when the knight moves, the b5 pawn is hanging.
He played rook
So,
c1. That rook on a3 is very effective, isn't it? It's like perfectly placed.
Yeah, that was the best move of the game, that rook to a3.
White's starting to get a little bit of control here. g6 without even thinking. You got to hand it to these guys sometimes. They don't have much time for thought, though.
So king to f2 puts the question to the bishop. And if you have to take on c4, that's nicer for you. But I wouldn't go to the other way, not getting the bishop out of play.
I'm going to run up to Ezra's game really quick.
Okay.
Board 1. Wow, this game has really opened up, hasn't it?
Can you go rook e7 check?
I guess he has to interpose a rook, right?
And then you have to trade it because the bishop's also threatening the rook on b7.
I guess rook d7. But then you can trade, rook d7, rook d7. And then trade and play rook d1 maybe? I don't know. It's easy to go wrong here.
Well, probably objectively equal. But can you just trade on c6, take the pawn on e6, allow queen d4 check? King h1.
Then you could go bishop takes g2 and rook d1 check.
Oh, very nice.
Probably would be a draw though, right? Oh, maybe not. No. Maybe black would win.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So rook d1 check.
Oh, he plays that rook. Why play that rook? Now he can play rook c7 and queen e6. Just does not make any sense. Looks like black's falling apart here.
Trading queen e6 just threats f6 check.
Ah,
So Nathan had played so well for so long. But,
why not play rook g7?
much better move. The only thing you can do is trade rooks, queen e6. You can play queen to d8, stopping queen f6 check, kind of threatening.
Yeah, queen d8. Yeah, it's the only move. I would think.
Yeah, Nathan's
And if
Nathan's
king
in trouble.
h1, bishop takes g2 check again.
Yes.
He plays it. So Ezra has a chance to go wrong here. He maybe should play queen c4.
Now, if you do queen f6 check, queen takes, king takes, pawn to e6.
Oh, yeah. The rook has to run back. Oh, but that's
then,
just lost. Yeah, yeah. That's pretty simple. Buck has to play bishop takes c6. Or wait to give up the pawn when it queens. Oh, that's hopeless. Surely Ezra will do that, and he does.
Okay, well, a sad end for Nathan. He played so well. I mean, he really had him for a long time.
Yeah.
But
Ezra. Oh, king h7, good move. Not a good ending, but a good move.
I guess better than the alternative, but it's
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so rook c8. Oh, no, that's it. This game is over here. This is just as bad.
He can't stop it.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Oh, we can play bishop b7. I'm overlooking a lot here, Nick.
Well, I don't think this will hold. On to c7, bishop e7.
This does definitely not hold.
Yeah, that's it, folks.
Wow. Well, Ezra's been, he's been pushing it and getting a bit of luck, but that's how it goes.
Yes, the better player is always lucky.
Yeah. And Nathan has a lot to learn from this game, I think.
Well, he again played great for a long time. As Richard Hack says, that's perseverance.
Yeah.
No, just too simple.
And Brownlow versus Gimmelfarb. Here's an ending right out of the books.
Okay. Very interesting and very little time. Hard to play this to win with white with little time.
The rook's in a weird position.
27 seconds, 25 seconds.
No, rook c6 is a horrible blunder.
Oh, God. That's just loses on ending.
Yeah.
Oh, hold it. Trade, king e6, king c3, king d6, king g4.
Oh, maybe that's not so clear. Crazy. Look at this. We're getting an interesting king and pawn ending, Nick.
Well, I think that's a good move if you were going to stay in the rook and pawn ending. So this is critical. So what to do here?
I mean, you gotta play king takes c6, right? You might as well.
Okay, king c6, king e5, king c5, king f6,
King c4.
king c4, king g6, king g3.
King f5, king e3. Black wins.
So white is struggling. King c6, king e5, king c5. You have to try something like
h4.
h4, h3. It's
But black has king c4 all day long, right? You know, g4 is a good shot. That's a good try.
I mean, you can.
Oh,
Yeah,
look
he
at
tries.
this.
Best try.
And now king c4 takes, king g3, king f4, and h5, h4, and white wins.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
So you have to take the pawn on g4. Oh! Oh! How did he do this? Oh my God.
Incredible.
Oh my God.
He had more time to think, but he didn't think it through.
Oh, taking the pawn on g4. You had an
Amazing
extra
escape by
pawn.
white. Yeah, if you take the pawn on g4, you have an outside pass pawn, right?
It's
it's probably a win for. It could be a win for black.
okay. Take on g4. King takes e4.
King's. That's a tough endgame to sort of analyze.
Yeah, black is better.
Yeah, because white can't play king g5 and takes on g6.
Yes, so you do like king back to d6, king f4, h5,
and then you
d5.
And then you try to finesse white out of his e-pawn.
Yes.
Wow. That's an interesting puzzle. Can you do it? Probably. Instead, we get this bad mistake here. And it looks like white's winning, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because
that's it.
He loses this happened. And that's it. Wow.
Yeah. What a ending to the last.
Well, folks, for the Mechanics Institute, I'm Paul Whitehead, and this is
Abel
Talamantes. And
we're gonna see you Thursday night for the first ever Mechanics Triathlon.
The Mechanics Triathlon, yeah.
We got Rapid, Blitz, Fisher Random. 22 rounds.
Oh my gosh! What time does that start?
It's same as the 1980s.
Same as it ever was.
Wrestling steel cage match. Starts at 6:30.
Okay.
p.m.
6:30 p.m.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks, Nick. And have a good night, everyone.